And welcome to In-Game Chat for Saturday, April 19th, 2014. This is Season 8, Episode 16. I'm Scott.
I'm Matt.
And I'm RJ.
And in the booth, we have Nathan. And he says hello. If you'd like to get in touch with us and talk to Nathan, or talk to anybody here, give us a call. Our phone number is 334-272-9228. That is 334-272-9228. You'll notice James and Dennis are not here. James out sick. He came down with something, I believe it was around Thursday. We were hoping it would get better, but it kind of got worse today. So, no James today. Dennis was expected to be here, but got called last minute to his paying gig, and we don't blame him for that. But, yeah, so he had to go do that. So, anyway, it's just us. This is Matt's last show.
For a bit.
For a good bit. You're not coming back until when? December what? Maybe.
Around the end of the year. I don't really know for sure.
Gotcha. Going to be a long time before we see Matt again. So this is Matt's last show for a good while. And appreciate you flying out tomorrow anyway. So appreciate you making it in tonight. Anyway, welcome to the show. Like I said, check out ingamechat.net for all the links if you'd like to get in touch with us. You can find us on Twitter at ingamechat as well as over on Facebook. You can email us, everyone, at ingamechat.net. And we are streaming the cam feed right now through Twitch. You can go over to twitch.tv, look for In-Game Chat, and you can find us there and join us in the chat room live while we broadcast. Just as easily, though, you can just head over to ingamechat.net, look over on the left-hand side of the page, and you'll see all sorts of links to our YouTube channel, to Google Plus page if you're using that, our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, just tons of links that you can interact with the show and get in touch with us and talk to us. So, like I said, here's the phone number one more time, 334-272-9228, if you would like to talk to us during the show. Anyway, welcome everybody to the show. RJ, I'm going to start with you. You are not going to be here next week.
No, I'm not.
Suddenly, out of nowhere, apparently this started up. How long were they trying to get this going? We got a tournament going on locally that RJ is going to pop himself into.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, did it just start up? Did it just get started in a week? Or
started up a week ago. They started putting out the they put out the notice on the 19th. I'm sorry, the week before, the 12th. I'm sorry. The Take It Like a Champ local Montgomery fighting game tournament being held at the Montgomery Bible Institute and Theological Center next weekend.
Is it just me, or does that seem like a interesting venue for that? Like, I wouldn't really necessarily.
Any reason they're having it there? I guess maybe somebody works there.
I mean, it's maybe it's. I mean, it's a campus where preachers and pastors are taught things of that nature. So young folks atmosphere.
So let's have a fighting game tournament.
So let's have a fighting game tournament. Yeah, especially.
Now, is it just fighting game tournament, or is this some type of like?
As far as I know, I was trying to get the information on Facebook before the show started, but Facebook's acting up, so I'm going off of memory here. But I know for sure that it's going to be Street Fighter 4, AE, and a lot of Smash Brothers going on out there. So some friendships are going to be tested out there.
So you'll be doing Smash Brothers then, right?
No. No. I don't do Smash Brothers. Just Street Fighter. I mean, I think they're trying to go do some Soul Calibur 5, maybe Skullgirls. They might be trying to do that as well, but I'll have the information locked for sure. I'll probably put it on the website for everybody to look at if they're interested in it.
Yeah, no, I think, I mean, it's a local thing.
Yeah, local.
So, and I know at least a lot of our listeners, let me look in the chat room real quick and go over the chat stats here. I don't know who that first person is. Like a Crixie, maybe? I have no idea. A Creasy? I don't know. Lavos is there, Nab, Truth Unknown, and W. Matthew hanging out in the chat room, and we'll probably get more as the show goes on. But so I know a lot of our listeners that visually see are not local people. But of course, we're on the radio here locally in Montgomery, and so there could be plenty of people who might be interested in this. So, definitely get the information. We'll put it up on the site.
Okay.
Throw it out on our Facebook page and link to it so that more people will know about it.
I'll get it to you.
But that would be great to do. So you're going to do it. You're going to do the Street Fighter thing.
Street Fighter AE. I'm going to be.
Do you know how many people are expected?
No, not offhand, but I know a lot of. There are about 30 folks on my Facebook page that say that we're going. On my friends list that were confirmed going. About 15 said maybe, so it could be up to about maybe 50 folks that maybe going up there.
Nice.
Hope nothing goes wrong.
Do you know any kind of idea on what kind of prize you're getting out of it? Is this?
It's probably going to be a cash pot.
Is there a cash pot?
Thing.
Okay, because is there a registration fee for this?
Yeah, it's like $5 at the door, and then $10 for every game that you join in on. So pretty standard fare.
Okay,
yeah, so probably going to be a pot involved.
Do you know what character you'll most likely be playing with? Does it just depend on what the other person chooses, or do you have like my go-to guy or gal is?
I pretty much only have one character I use pretty well. That's Cody.
Okay.
I might I used to use Guile back in the day. I might maybe practice up with him a little bit, but for right now, my main is going to be Cody. I'm going to focus on that.
And do you know which system they're going to be doing it on?
I think they're going to do it on 360.
Okay.
But I got a stick for it, so I'm fine in that respect.
So you've been practicing on that?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of cool that came out of nowhere. I mean, hate you're not going to be here, but it's really nice that you'll be. Well, I mean, what time is the tournament?
It starts at noon. It goes to 11.
Oh my
at
God.
night.
So could you possibly still join us, depending on how horrible you do?
If I do horrible, I'll be here. I'll be here, no problem.
I mean, are they starting with the Smash Brothers? Are they starting with Street? What are they? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
You have no idea.
I don't know what the schedule is yet, but
well, there is possibly a chance you can still join us then.
Possibly.
Okay.
Nab in the chat room wanted to know what you thought of Sea Viper.
Sea Viper. I know Greg, who called into the show before we went to
the
final round. That's the main character he uses. Sea Viper, real fast, real quick. Like a lot of the ladies in the fighters, they hit real hard and they go real fast. And that's exactly what Sea Viper does. I've seen him put up a lot of damage on folks with some of the combos he can pull off with her. She's a pretty good character.
Is it going to be pretty much your group that went to Atlanta? You guys all going to be there?
I'm pretty sure. I think they're going to be there as well. I know.
I kind of figured that. But.
Yeah, I know some folks are coming out from Auburn and surrounding cities. So
can anybody do a tournament that I play a game in? I don't do fighting games.
We should sponsor RJ. That way we can get some publicity.
Well, I mean. We don't have any kind of merch he could wear down there, like a T-shirt or something that has our name in it. But you should at least get the word out.
Yeah,
I'll get a white shirt and a Sharpie.
Yeah, really. At least get the word out. We need to get some cards to give you to take to these things, especially the ones that are local. That'd be great. Although we don't talk a lot of fighting games unless you're here. That's about it. So, and baseball games.
Yeah.
Your baseball game's coming out pretty soon. Or actually, no, your baseball game's already out.
No, I got the PS3 version. PS4 is coming out in
I forget about that you don't
May.
have a PS4. You still got a PS3.
Not yet. I think that comes out in May, I believe. Early May is when the show comes out for PS4.
Have you been playing the one for PS3?
Yeah, I've it's baseball. It's still
I know.
Still the best baseball game on the market to me.
It's like the only way. What is it? 2K, I think, has a baseball game.
2K. I don't know if they've made a new one yet, but 2K
don't
was
think
the
they
only
have.
one they had.
Because I know they were doing the $1 million.
$1 million
No hitter.
throw a perfect game contest.
Yeah.
And that took all about 2 weeks or something before.
Yeah, it didn't take long.
Yeah,
it didn't take long, and then you got into a drawing for who did it first, and then who did. I don't know, bunch of stats and stuff like that. Three Blades asking, might as well just go with this for a second. Are there actually characters that are better and stronger against certain characters?
Well, I think it all comes down to play styles, really. I mean, if you get someone who's real aggressive or real defensive, I mean, I think anybody can beat anybody. In the Street Fighter games, just depends on skill, really. I mean, I've heard people picking one person because they're using this person, things like that. But I talked to some folks about that, and they say no, it's pretty much just how much skill do you have, how well you can read opponents' reactions, how well you can adapt to situations changing on you on the fly, things of that nature. So it really doesn't depend what character you use. If you're skilled enough and you can read and react good, you're pretty much fine.
Yeah, we talked about this a lot when you were going to the tournament in Atlanta about how you pick your character, and if people changed. Do you let your opponent pick first so that you can base your character off of whatever they pick, or how does that work?
Take the initiative.
Well, some people do that, but like I
Yeah.
said, I've really only got like really one main focus.
Right, but like
character,
you
so I just pick
exactly
one.
like you said, is that it's better. It's better that you shouldn't have to rely on what character your opponent picks, and
Just
pick
be a master
your
of one
character
Yeah.
that you're the best at, regardless of opponent.
Oh yeah, or some people just get like 2 or 3 characters they build up skills with and just pick them depending on how they feel like playing or anything like that.
Well, I didn't know that you mentioned last time when you went to Atlanta that I thought was really interesting is the differences in the consoles. How one, like the 360, I think, has like a fewer, like 2 less frames.
The PlayStation version of Street Fighter is the one that has 2 frame lag
yeah.
in it, and the 360 flows smoothly. So that
I
difference
thought that was
is-
interesting.
Yeah, it's a pretty big difference, especially among the
Espe- I
pro
mean,
and seasoned players. They
When you're
notice
trying to
that
get to
2-frame
like
difference.
that,
Yeah.
that precision.
Yeah, why does this link not work? Why does this chain not work? Why is this combo not coming out? Oh, the 2-frame lag difference. I'm putting it in too early. I'm putting it in too late. I got to make the adjustment because of those 2 little frames. I mean, it doesn't sound like much. I mean, 60 frames a second, but those 2 frames, yeah, folks notice it the more they play.
That's amazing to me.
Mhm. Yeah, some people study this, man. They get it all. They get all the stats and whatnot under their belt before they go into tournaments like
Well,
that.
good luck to you next week.
Oh,
Not
definitely.
much obliged. Thank you.
I mean, I really hope. I honestly, I hope you do well.
Mm-hmm.
But if not, it'd be good to have you come back and be on the show. So-
Hey, if I got time and I can make it, I'll make it.
I know. So, especially if it's going on to 11, you may still be able to do pretty well
Mhm.
and actually drive over here for 2 hours, do the show, and then head back and complete it.
Mhm.
Maybe, I don't know.
Or just observe.
Be
because,
interesting. Or call in
Yeah.
and let
Yeah.
us know how
We can do
things
that.
are going as well.
Mhm.
We'd love to hear from you. I see Dennis has joined us in the chat room. 'cause he
Get someone with a GoPro
Hey,
camera
Dennis.
and do like a little on the scene.
Well, that would be interesting, especially for a local event like this. That would be interesting. I just don't know how we could do that.
yeah, I know.
I have a GoPro.
Right. In other words, I don't know. Maybe if you're not doing anything Saturday, you go over there and get some early footage, and then come to the show.
You could
We'll edit
broadcast
it.
on the TV.
Could do some interviews or something.
We can edit that video and throw it up on our YouTube channel afterwards. That's a thought. We'll talk about that during one of the breaks or after the show.
You're getting all fancy up here.
Mhm.
Well, no, I'd love to document this. I've
Yes.
never, honestly, the tournaments I've been to have been things held at PAX and stuff like that. I've never been to
Local.
Evo.
Yeah.
I've only watched that through Twitch. Looks like a great atmosphere and a
it
fun
looks
time.
like a party. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, final round. I've never been to that one. Never been to a strictly, this is all we're here to do, is do this tournament type situation. So it'd be interesting to see, especially see how this local thing turns out and what kind of turnout they have and that sort of thing. It'd be very, very cool
I hope
to
it's
see.
a pretty
So,
good. I mean, I'm hoping for a good turnout. That way, if we could get more things like that here in Montgomery in the area, that would be wonderful for us.
Well, the interesting thing, RJ brought this up, was that, I think it was RJ, or no, it was you, Nathan, I believe, who brought this up about Georgia offering Georgia's offering the tax breaks
Yeah,
to
25 million
$25 million in tax breaks for
for a company to set up shop within. Let's see. It's either within Atlanta or outside Atlanta.
yeah.
So,
And so I think that's a great idea if it can lure those people back in to Atlanta and get them and kind of get the industry kind of back. So I say sort of East Coast, but Southeast Coast. I'm not exactly sure what I'm trying to say, but E3 used to be held in LA and Atlanta.
Yeah.
They'd alternate. And then it was just like, let's keep it in LA just because that's where pretty
Everyone's
much
at.
everybody's at.
Yeah.
We were talking about where the people are residing. There's California, there's the Pacific Northwest, Seattle, that sort of thing. There's Texas, a few has.
Austin area.
And then a lot up in Montreal, in Canada. Up there, there's a lot
I think
of...
Vancouver too.
Yeah, there's a lot of development companies in Canada as well. So it would be nice to see them come back to Atlanta and then possibly get a nice little
Anywhere in
group.
the South, really.
It'd be great to, get a studio there that you can actually go and get a tour of and get a visit with and whatever else. And then, it's 3 hours away for us.
Yeah. That was easy. Like back in '98 when they had E3 in Atlanta. I mean, that was an easy drive.
Yeah.
A lot easier than flying all the way out to LA for E3.
What, 2.5 hours? That's it.
Yeah. So it'd be kind of nice if that were to take place. But Anyway, so good luck with that on the tournament.
Thank
Good
you
luck
much.
with you on your trip.
Thank you.
And everything else that's going on. And we'll have Dennis and James back next week, hopefully. Jumping into the news, the first thing you guys wanted to cover was the whole situation with Sony selling all of its Square Enix shares.
I just thought that was interesting. Sony decides to bail on Square Enix, sells all the shares.
It's a good bit of money that they're gonna that they're
Yeah.
set to get out of this, and I believe it was $47 million that they're looking to get out of selling off these shares.
And my first initial thought was that they were just trying to cushion the blow for the fiscal year, because they're still in financial straits, right?
Yeah, they're not
Yeah.
doing
Despite,
too.
despite the fact the PS4 is
Selling pretty
good,
well.
but Sony in general is still in bad shape financially.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And one of the things that were brought up before the show is that when's the last time that Square Enix and any of its subsidiaries, like IDOS or any of those things, had a Sony exclusive game? Most everything they've done has been multi-platform.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're not even getting like the full benefit, I would say, of the deal, because if they're getting their money, if Square's getting the money, selling their games to other people as well,
Right.
then I could sort of understand why they'd be like, all right, it's just time to cut this tie,
Mm-hmm.
recoup some of this.
well, they probably looked over everything and said, "Why are we still holding on to this?
Yeah,
It worked for us for a while, but obviously, like you were saying, Square Enix has gone a lot more multi-platform with their releases. Kingdom Hearts, is that still a? Kingdom Hearts is still a at least 1 and 2. I know are still just all Sony. They're nowhere else, and I'm curious about 3.
I'm not
There's,
sure.
there hasn't been any word.
Yeah, I'm not
that-
sure if like the remakes for, because they had the remake, HD whatever.
That's
Yeah.
still only Sony.
That was still just Sony.
yeah,
Okay.
that was still just Sony. And so it's
Yeah, I heard Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be on Xbox One and PS.
really
Mm.
not confirmed. Is something you heard, or are you looking at it confirmed right there? I just know that they did their reveal at Sony's press conference at E3. Doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that Sony owns or is getting the exclusive out of it.
It said that at one of PlayStation's press events, it said it wouldn't be an exclusive.
Okay.
Mm.
That's what I thought I remembered, especially when you got to the show floor of E3 to Square Enix's booth. There didn't seem to be a lot of loyalty as far as a platform was concerned.
I think it'll be kind of like the Destiny, where it's not exclusive, but PS4 kind of gets more of the somewhat exclusivity or whatever. But
Well, they can always do that. They can always buy into, hey, we
Yeah.
want this type of thing that we can use on our system only, and then Microsoft can do the same and say we only want it on our system for these couple of levels or whatever the case may be. So there's always that. But as far as Sony and Square having that deal that they once had with a
Yeah.
lot of their properties, that's just not the case anymore. Seems, I mean, there's.
It's gotten so expensive too, making these games, where as we said previously, that Tomb Raider could sell several millions in copies and still be considered not a success. So it
The way they explained it felt like a flat out failure.
yeah, I think they sort of recouped a little bit of it with the definitive edition,
Mhm.
but at the same time, it's just one of those things that, like, at what point do you just, if you're Sony, just be like, all right, this is so expensive of a deal, let's just get rid of them. Let's cut them loose.
Yeah, Dennis is having a fit right now that he is not able to talk to us about. This is, I mean, it's right up his alley. And again, Dennis, you really should just be here.
Who needs paying jobs?
Yeah, really, who needs those paying jobs? But yeah, you really should just get here and talk to us about it. But this is 2 weeks in a row, because remember, he wanted to talk to us about Alpha Centauri last week.
Yeah.
And he was able to call in about that, but here we are on another one of his subjects, and he is not able to provide his opinion. However, I will say on Alpha Centauri, I did download it from GOG. I got it to work on my PC, and I looked at it, and I was like, this looks really bad.
It looks like it's made in 1999.
Right. And I got to get over that. I've honestly got to get over that and actually get into it and play to put my time into it and really understand what's going on. And this is a perfect opportunity. James came over to the house, I want to say it was Wednesday, and we were talking about our backlogs of things. We were talking about neither of us have finished Thief. And that game came out, late February, I believe.
Yeah, same here. It's on my list, but that's one of those.
Yeah.
I've been trying to like stay away from things that are offline, because that way it'll give me a chance, when I'm not connected to an internet connection, to be able to have something to play.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? I'll have several months where I'll be able to like go through my backlog and get some stuff done. Things like the Diablo 3 or other things that are online. I want to just really go out.
We were just talking about how we put this importance on these games that release recently and that sort of thing, and we try and talk about them, and then either we do and we get a little bit out of it, or we don't talk about them at all. We look at Infamous Second Son as being one of those that, honestly, I regret purchasing that game. It was the only way I could play it, though, was purchasing it, because I couldn't rent it from anywhere other than GameFly, I suppose.
Yeah.
However, with everything that happened, by the time I would have gotten it from GameFly and been able to play it, I probably still wouldn't have finished it, given my situation with the hospital and everything else that went on during that time. Because I had finished it, I think, that weekend before I was in the hospital. Because I was planning on talking about it for the show because I had finished it, and we never really went over that. And it's one of those situations where it's like, man, why did I put so much effort into getting this? And we didn't really even talk about it. It wasn't that great. Looked beautiful, but as far as the game goes, I wasn't very impressed. We talked about this, and James and I talked about this a little bit. He wasn't really happy with the ending. He's going back playing through on Evil now.
Yeah,
but he really wasn't very pleased with how it all played out.
Especially that last boss fight and the last power is just.
Yeah. No, same here. Same here. Wasn't very impressed, and now I've got a game that I spent $60 on that I don't feel I got my money's worth out of. Honestly, for myself, and that's just me. But
no real replay value there.
That's just me. There is, but the game is so fast. You can get it done so quick.
Yeah, a lot quicker, I think, than the first two.
I would more than likely. I didn't play the second, but the first one took me a good while to do. And maybe because you only had that one power, and maybe because you didn't have a travel type power.
Yeah.
Situation.
Although didn't you have you could zip on a rail?
Yeah.
A little
zip
bit
on the power lines.
Yeah,
on
the power
train
lines.
tracks,
But
that's
like kind of a.
That's nothing compared to Neon.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
That's nothing compared to Neon. We're just like go, So I don't know. We were talking about that, and we were talking about our backlog to get into, and I think. He was looking at going. I for whatever reason I was getting. I think it was after Metal Gear Solid. I was into this big stealth type situation. I wanted to get into some stealth stuff. So going back to Thief, going back to Splinter Cell Blacklist.
See, I want to play that. I never did. That's I think the only Splinter Cell I haven't played yet.
Yeah, want to go back into that. I've still got Witcher 2 to finish.
Yeah.
I'm looking at. See, the way this release hits is that this week we've got Dark Souls 2 on PC, I believe. I think it's this week.
Late April, right?
Yeah, I believe it's this week.
Yeah.
And then we've also got the DLC for Arkham Origins.
Oh, yeah.
So that'll be a quick little day gig, in and out type situation.
Dark Souls comes out on Friday.
It comes out this coming Friday?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
That's an interesting release.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's this week for Dark Souls 2 on PC. James is still kind of he's on the fence on that. He doesn't know if he's going to get that or not, but
probably will.
The Arkham Origins release. Then in May, you got Watch Dogs, really.
Mm-hmm.
After that, there is a nice big gap of nothing for a good while that we know of. Not a lot on my radar for that, which I think is where I'm going to jump back into Witcher 2 and finally get that completed so that I'll be ready for Witcher 3 when it hits in February of 2015.
One game that I'm going to say this, and I hope I don't get just bit like I did last time with a bad game, I'm looking forward to is Alien Isolation. I have a, Star Wars, Alien, stuff like that. It's just my weakness. I love them, and I'll buy them. But I saw the trailers for that, and I think I'm going to get it. Hopefully I'm sure it'll be better. Huh?
Can you rent it first?
Not where I'm going to be.
No, okay. Just.
I don't think they ship GameFly out there. But it's one of those things that it looks really interesting. It's more of that the first Alien film kind of a feel, where it's like one alien, just cat and mouse, and stealth and stalking. So I think I'm gonna get that one, and it can't be any worse than Colonial Marines. So there's that.
Sure.
All right, well, we're about to take a break here, and I was looking at the music that we're about to play, and it is music from Myst, one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to make mention that this Thursday I'll be doing an interview with Rand Miller from Cyan Worlds to get a catch-up on Abduction and how they're doing with that project. If you've got questions that you would like me to ask Rand, please send me an email. You can send it to everyone@ingamechat.net. Shoot me an email if you've got questions you want me to ask him, but that's coming up on Thursday. We'll play the interview next Saturday on the show. And I haven't been told that the questions need to relate to Abduction itself, so if you've got questions about Myst, I'm sure you'd be willing to answer, but we are going to focus on the process of Abduction and how that's going, since the Kickstarter is now over and they're in development now of the game itself. So anyway, when we come back, we will have more. We've got the Steam Gauge thing that came out of ours. We've got Marty O'Donnell from
Halo
and Bungie getting fired. I was going to say let go, but
yeah, I don't think there's a
he made it pretty
pretty clear where that how that came
Yeah, he made it pretty clear that he was fired on that one. But we've got all that stuff coming up and more. Don't forget to give us a call, 334-272-9228. We'll have more of In-Game Chat right after this. And welcome back to In-Game Chat, music from Outrunners, provided by RJ.
The sequel to Outrun.
Yes, as he explained while the music was playing, trying to figure out what it was from. So yeah, that's you gave us a lot of stuff there. We haven't even gone into your entire.
Yeah, all I can say is don't listen to that while driving. You'll mess around and speed before you even know it.
Bag of music.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome back to the show. Let's see, which one should we hit up first? I guess let's go to that Steam Gauge situation.
Okay.
It's not really a situation, but it was interesting. Ars Technica did a little digging into
the publicly available Steam information.
Yeah, it's all publicly available. They didn't get anything on any kind of inside track. Steam is very
transparent?
Secure. No.
Oh, I mean opposite of transparent.
Yes, I mean they don't. It's their sales numbers are hardly ever released. I mean, I think some developers get their sales numbers, but an overall wide scale of sales numbers aren't released. But they do have publicly available information as to who owns what games, how how many hours you've spent playing those games. So that's available if you're willing to do the digging. And ours came up, I guess, with some type of code that they could use to go through everybody's list of games and see how many people own these games, how much time they put into them, if they put in any time into them at all, and get some interesting numbers back. Some of this doesn't surprise me.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose maybe what it does is it confirms what I kind of always thought was true, is that there's a lot of people who own a lot of Steam games but don't play a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we are any kind of indication, that would make sense because, we're kind of average gamers, I think, and that's what we have. I mean, how many games do you have, but how many do you have installed?
Right.
How many
I
do
mean,
you have started?
My number's so skewed into that. I have more games than I've ever played.
But I think, you're a little bit, I think, to one side of the degree of that. But we're all kind of there where, I think everybody has, or at least most people have, games that they have attached to their library, but maybe not installed or maybe not even started. We all have a backlog, you know.
And it was just interesting to see that I suppose it's not interesting. Again, this was more of a situation that kind of proved to me what I always kind of thought was the case. When he looks at the graph of the most owned Steam games, I'm looking at it now. They're dominated by Valve.
Yes.
Dota 2 is at the top, with almost every single statistic that they can throw at you. Dota 2 is at the top of how many people own it. Well, Dota 2 is at the top of that. How many people are playing it? Dota 2 is at the top of that. It's a free-to-play game. It's a very League of Legends type situation where if you look at the top games on Twitch that are broadcast, League of Legends is at the very top. Dota 2 is at the very top of that as well. So it doesn't really come as a surprise to me on that. Team Fortress 2 is the second one on that list. No surprise there.
No.
It's free to play. The economic system in Team Fortress 2 is an interesting one, and one of those situations that I think is what drives the gameplay. The people playing it.
People want the new hats or the new...
Well, you get the loot drops, and then you can sell the loot drops if you want to. And then let's see, what else? Half-Life 2 Lost Coast, Counter-Strike Source, Half-Life 2 Deathmatch.
I found it interesting that Lost Coast was higher than Half-Life 2.
I'm not sure why that is, and you guys would know the Half-Life stuff better than I would.
Yeah. Lost Coast was a free... That was actually a tech demo for their Bloom lighting, and they're after Half-Life 2 came out, when they did Lost Coast, it was like when they were trying the new lighting techniques. That was it was basically a tech demo. It's a short. You could probably get through it in half hour or so. I mean, it's just a short little tech demo, but a lot of people downloaded it, and I guess with it being so quick, probably a lot of people finished it.
Well, the interesting thing on that is if you go down to the next graph after that, the most owned games on Steam, Half-Life 2 Lost Coast has 2.1 million people who have played it, but 10.7 million people who own it and have not played it. Huge difference there. In fact, you don't get out of the Valve situation until you get down to, looks like Elder Scrolls, I believe.
Yeah, Skyrim.
Skyrim gets in there, and Civ 5 as well, with people who own it and who play it and that sort of thing. So, but Valve just dominates in most of these statistics.
Oh yeah, Left 4 Dead.
Right, Left 4 Dead, Left 4 Dead 2.
Portal, I think, is at the bottom of that top.
Right. Now, when you look at most played games on Steam, Football Manager 2014 takes the top spot. I don't know why, but there it is.
Is that football or
soccer?
Football?
That's soccer.
Yeah. So,
There's your
probably
answer.
because
There's your answer right there.
Yeah, it's the most
Soccer, not
popular
football.
sport in the world. Outside of our
Skyrim comes in
mentality.
second with almost half of what they have. And then it just goes down from there. The multiplayer of Modern Warfare 2, Assassin's Creed 4 is in there, Dragon Age Origins. Valve doesn't, where does Valve even show up on these? Yeah, Valve's not even on this list of most played games on Steam. This is since March 2009 when they enacted the, I think it was how many hours played. That's when you could start seeing that statistic, was March of 2009, to see how many hours you had put in the game itself. I'm looking over the total Steam players by game mode. They were able to break this down. Single player of Modern Warfare 2 has 3.73 million people playing the single player, which just edges out the people playing the multiplayer, 3.51 million. And it does that. It does that with everything. Black Ops is the same way. 2.83 million people playing the single player, 2.46 playing the multiplayer. Modern Warfare 3, same thing. 2.3 million people playing the single player, 2.2 million people playing multiplayer, just off by that little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Doing the multiplayer versus the single player. And it'd be interesting to see what this looks like on console versions.
Oh, wow.
Given that your Call of Duty series is
really predominant on consoles.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So that would be interesting to see on that. The other graph, there's one graph in this situation. It's the estimated total hours played on Steam. Millions of hours. This is since March 2009. Dota 2 comes in with 3,828 millions of hours played.
Wow.
Team Fortress 2, 1,444 million hours. And it just goes from there. Counter-Strike Source, Counter-Strike, Civ 5, and then Skyrim. The total hours of those games that I just listed is, I believe, equal to just about the total hours of all other games played. Which is an amazing number, that more people are playing Dota 2, Team Fortress 2, Counter-Strike, and Counter-Strike Source, Civ 5, and Skyrim. The total hours of all of, what is that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The total hours of those 6 games equals the total hours played of all other games on Steam.
Yeah. That's a lot of time.
It's a very, just a fascinating statistic to me. To see that one right there is the most fascinating statistic that I see. Now, if you go over to
how many total hours was it all together?
Not
did it say like
9,316, but that's in millions, so that probably whatever. I'm probably saying that wrong, but it's a lot. 9,316.
I wonder how many days that would equal.
Go ahead.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Start using the calculator, and you can figure that out. If you go over to their 100, this is an interesting statistic on this one. The 100 most played games on Steam. Valve holds the top 5 games: Dota 2, Team Fortress 2, Counter-Strike Source, Left 4 Dead 2, and then Counter-Strike. There's an interesting statistic here that pops up throughout the 100 most played games list, and it is the players versus owners. Dota 2 has the same number of players as it does owners. Team Fortress 2 has the same number of players as it does owners. That doesn't seem right to me. It doesn't seem wrong or anything. I'm just saying that seems kind of off, that you would have as many players as you do owners. Because in most of the other statistics, let's look at Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike has 6 million players but 9 million owners. But if you look at Dota 2, nearly 26 million players and the exact same number of owners. Same with Team Fortress 2. This data, obviously, it isn't perfect, but they were able to collaborate with some game developers who would either publicly or privately give them the sales information that they got from Valve, saying, at this point in time, this is when we broke 1 million sales. And
they could verify.
Ours was able to go back into their data stream and look at that and say, you know what? Ours is really, really close. Maybe a 10% margin of error, but really, really close to saying that, yeah, you sold 1 million at the same time that you said that Valve told you sold 1 million. So the data's pretty accurate, but the numbers on this top 100 throw me off a bit for the sense of players and owners. And I know it's not something to go by and say that, well, you know, this is fact, this is set in stone type situation.
But it's at least a good barometer of sorts.
It is. And in fact, it goes down. Number 17 on this list is PlanetSide 2. Same number of players as there are owners. Warframe, same thing there. APB Reloaded, same number of players as there are owners, 2 million.
Those are all the free-to-play sort of based.
Yeah, I suppose if
They're
you
all
look
the
at
same
that,
kind of model, in a way.
well, is Spiral Knights free to play? Because it's got the same statistics, same number of
Really?
players as it does owners.
Hmm.
Loadout has that same number there. I'm trying to find Blacklight Retribution. I believe that is free to play.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it just pops up on the free to play games. I'm going down again. America's Army 3.
Yeah, that one's free to play.
That is okay.
At least I remember when it first came out, it was free.
No, it's like $30.
America's Army?
Oh, yeah, Arma.
No, not Arma.
Which one?
America's Army.
Oh, yes, that one's
It was
free.
the one,
That one's free. Yeah,
developed
that
by
one's
the
free.
government.
Well, there is one that you can pay for, but that one's free.
Okay.
And Path of Exile is in there. Okay, so maybe what it's... Yep, there it is. Okay. So maybe what I'm seeing here is that these are the free-to-play titles that are popping up having the same number of players
As who owns it?
as who owns it. Which, that's another thing. If you're on your Steam account and you go to any one of these free-to-play games, it'll say that you already own the game. However, I think in their explanation of how this whole thing works, they were able to dissect the fact that, yeah, it says that, but it doesn't count as ownership until you actually play the game.
Okay.
Which,
That would make sense why the numbers
in
are
that
the same.
case, that makes complete sense as the fact that the number of players versus owners is the same for all of these free-to-play titles.
Yeah, games bought, but it hasn't been played yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, best I can tell. So,
I wonder if we go on Reddit, if they'll say anything in there, like if ours found the data mining information for Half-Life 3.
no,
It's on there somewhere.
no, Matt. It's never going
It's
to
confirmed.
happen. It's never going to happen. I know you want it to so badly, and so do many others, but it's just not going to happen. It will eventually. I
Yeah.
suppose. I don't know. I can't say that. I can't rule it out that it never will, but at this point, I'm not holding my breath on that. So, anyway. The other story that we were looking at was the Marty O'Donnell situation with Halo.
Yeah, he...
I say Halo. It's actually Destiny now. They're done with
Yeah.
Halo.
But Bungie.
But Bungie, yeah. He's been with them...
Since, I think, the very first Halo game.
Yeah.
And he's not just the composer, but he was also the sound designer.
He was audio director.
Yeah, audio director. So, he had a lot to deal with when it came to the sound of the Halo universe. And, he was an important person for that. Not just, someone to come in and compose, a theme here or a theme there, but, the entire soundscape of the game. That he had his hand in that, directing that and, making, it's kind of his vision. But, yeah, to have him go and then for him to, their corporate tweet was just, we wish him luck, blah, blah, blah. But his was just like, yeah, I got fired.
Yeah, he said that he was let go without cause.
Yeah. So there's definitely a disconnect between the two, and that's kind of interesting, especially with Destiny coming out. I'm guessing that they'll have to get a freelance composer to come
Destiny
in.
was finished.
Oh, it was finished?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But anything they want to do...
Now, Destiny is a
post-Destiny-
10-year project.
Exactly.
So,
when you think of the composer for Mass Effect 1 and 2,
Right.
it's the same guy, but 3 was someone different. And, they try to pull some themes from the first two, but it's just, I don't know, it's not quite the same. Some of these old game houses, especially back in the day, you would have someone who would work there. Like, think about Square back in the day. The guy that worked on the Final Fantasy, and he did the composing for it, as opposed to now we'll just get someone freelance for this one game. So it's kind of interesting, and sound and music plays a vital role, in the media. It's, can you imagine, not just in games, but just like any kind of visual medium, the audio, really plays an important part. Throw a GoPro on someone swim through the ocean, it's one thing, but you add that, the trumpet and trombone and tuba from John Williams' Jaws, and you have a whole other situation altogether. So it's kind of interesting to think of him being let go and what that will have, the ramifications that might come down the line with Destiny 10 years, like you said, 10 years down the road.
Well, it's been a hell of a year for big names being switched around.
Yeah.
It started kind of last year with the guy from EA who left, which was fine. He did that on his own, and then of course earlier this year with Amy leaving Naughty Dog, which
someone went with her. I heard someone joined her unit. I think someone from Naughty Dog. I have to look that up. But I heard that someone went along with her.
Well, as far as I know, Amy left Naughty Dog and got picked up by EA. Another guy over there, I believe it was Justin Richmond, went over to Riot Games, I believe. It's just interesting in the way these things are revealed. The Naughty Dog situation with Amy was she's just left, we don't have much information, we don't know what's going on, and that was pretty much it. And there hasn't been much left, or much revealed on that.
Yeah.
When Justin left, it was announced that he was leaving. It was announced that he was going over to Riot Games. There was a sense of, we're okay with all of this. Here's the official statement and all this other stuff. It wasn't that case with Amy's departure. The thing you're thinking of, I think, is Todd Stashwick, I believe.
I think, yeah.
All he is, he's just doing mocap and a character for Uncharted, for the next Uncharted. And so Amy had worked with him on that, but he's also going over to EA. He is not a Naughty Dog employee.
Okay.
He is a contracted actor for them for the Uncharted series. So he was not an employee of Naughty Dog. But he's going over there to help do some story stuff for her with the Star Wars game that they're working on with Visceral. So this situation with Marty O'Donnell was that Bungie didn't say anything until way after the fact that it had come out. Marty tweeted that I think it was just terminated from Bungie without cause. He made very sure that people knew it was without cause.
Yeah, it wasn't him just deciding to go.
Right. I mean, he wanted people to know this, that he was pretty much fired from Bungie. And then Bungie responded in a post on their blog just saying, hey, it's we hate when these things happen. We wish him well in his future endeavors. Very corporate.
Yeah.
Is the word I'm trying to look for in that. But it was a very corporate release of him from there. But it's still one of those things where it's like, why? What happened?
You get the feeling like he was almost blindsided by it, like he didn't see it coming.
I can't figure it out. I know that there's been a lot of speculation on it. There's been anonymous source from Bungie posted on Reddit and all this other stuff about him trying to get a job, or not to get a job, to get a raise. Marty over there is, from the things that I've read, his status at Bungie was like upper echelon type situation.
Yeah.
He
would sit on the big meetings.
He wasn't much among the crowd of the other folks at Bungie. Had his own office and was kind of, off here. You would see him on rare occasion type situations. He was celebrity status. I mean, his work pretty much put him there.
Oh yeah, he's an amazing composer.
And the fact that he was doing a collaboration with Paul McCartney of all people for Destiny, is a huge thing. So it's interesting to see that this has come about. Also, he got the game done and then they let him go. Had he not gotten the game done, would they have held on? If he was asking for a raise, would he have gotten it before the completion of music for the game or that sort of thing? I'm sure all the assets are there and they got people that can pretty much do the rest. But I think his composition work was done for Destiny. I believe that's what was stated in, again, it's corporate. they're going to tell you whatever they can. They don't want to scare their investors off.
Yeah.
So they're not going to tell you that, nah, he didn't finish it yet, so we're kind of scrambling to get that together. No, it's going to be all good news coming out of the business. So I'm not really sure
where the truth lies.
Yeah, well,
No.
O'Donnell hasn't said anything since then that I know of. I haven't seen anything reported since then. I mean, the truth lies in that he was let go without cause.
Oh, yeah.
I say that because that's exactly what he tweeted and wanted people to know publicly that happened. Whereas you don't see that coming out of Bungie saying that that's not true, we didn't let him go with that. They haven't denied any of that. They've only said that
We wish him luck.
pretty much. I believe the COO, Pete Parsons, made the following statement. I'm reading here from Joystick. I'm sure many of you heard the news about Marty O'Donnell at Bungie. We don't take that kind of thing lightly. We don't make decisions lightly. We're a team that's committed to making an amazing game set in an amazing universe. He added, at this time, we won't be commenting any further on it. So that is their stance on that. So anyway, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to have the second hour. If you would like to get in touch with us, by all means, give us a call. Our number is 334-272-9228. That is 334-272-9228. Nathan is already on the phone with somebody there, so hopefully we'll have them in the next hour. But if you would like to be on the show with us, just give us a call to that number, 334-272-9228. When we come back, we will have the second half of in-game chat in just a moment. Here is music from Panzer Dragoon. And welcome back to In-Game Chat, music from Fantasy Star Universe. This thing says For Brighter Day.
That was the name of the album it came off of, yeah. But that's the theme in Raffan Meadow.
From Fantasy Star Universe, then. Mm-hmm. Another one of RJ tracks, by the way, in case you can't tell. So a lot of these that we've got coming up here are ones that RJ has thrown at us and put in there. So, again, appreciate the music, RJ. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Welcome back to In-Game Chat. This is our second hour. Just before we went to break, by the way, the number's 334-272-9228, but just before we went to break, had a phone call come in. Apparently NAB has been trying to set this up, and we always like Kickstarters when they call in, just for the fact that it's helpful to get the word out about different things going on in gaming, especially when it comes to Kickstarter. It's, we've had plenty of people on doing Kickstarters before, from Jamie Fristrom, who did the name escapes me from now. Whatever, I can't remember what it's called. Begins with an E. I can't remember.
Yeah,
I pledged a bunch of money for that thing too, and I cannot remember what the name of that game is. It was the swing mechanic from Spider-Man 2, but I can't.
Well, we
Energy
get
Hook or something.
Energy Hook.
Yes.
Energy Hook. That's what it's called. Energy Hook. Good job, RJ. Thank you. God. We had the guys who did Tales of Numenera on the show for their Kickstarter. We've had a couple of composers on for their Kickstarter.
any chance to get the word out.
Really, that's what it is. And so we've got another one who is doing a Kickstarter as well, and I hope I pronounce her name right again. It is Cailleah, I believe.
That's right.
Hey, there you are. She is. She's calling in from.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. You're on the air now, by the way. Just letting you know.
All right, awesome.
You're calling from Canada, right?
That's right. Yeah, I'm based out of Toronto.
Yeah, and you're using Skype for this, correct?
That's right. Can you hear me all right?
No, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you fine.
You.
I just know there's a bit of a delay, I think, from when you get us and then when we get back from you. But which is fine. We'll work through it. No problem at all. So.
All right. Thanks so much.
Yeah, you've got a Kickstarter going on. What's the Kickstarter? Is this just you, or is it a group of people? Tell us all about it.
Yeah, for sure. So my Kickstarter is basically for a documentary. And I'm also the co-producer. The documentary is called She, and it's a small group of us who are working on it. So there are about two of us who are doing sort of the main, all the interviews and figuring out how the project goes, and then we've got a small crew with us as well. And the whole point of the project is to think about how gaming fits into women's lives and to look at the gaming world through women's eyes. So I feel like, there's a lot of discussion kind of thing going on right now.
Cailleah, if you can hear us, your Skype is breaking up all over the place.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was, in fact, I don't even think we got the name of what the Kickstarter was. I will repeat it because I know what it is. It's called She Got Game. But, the Skype situation is kind of throwing off. It'll delay you, or it won't delay you. It'll cut you off, actually.
That's not good.
No, because in your description we got a good bit of it, but we missed the entire thing that was the name of it. But we got a few people in the chat room who were throwing the link to the Kickstarter out there. But it's called She Got Game, and you can go to Kickstarter and get all the details about that. But can you tell us how many more days are left in the project?
We just have time left to go. Our goal is for 10,000, so we're 60% of the way.
Oh, it is. Yeah, the Skype thing is really getting bad here.
Oops, so sorry.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm so sorry about that. I tell you what, I'm gonna go to the Kickstarter page and kind of get some of this information. You've got 160 backers so far. You've got 5 days to go, and you need 10,000. 10,000 is the goal, and you've got just over 6,000. So another 4,000 needed in about 5 days. Can be done, by the way.
Yes.
So don't worry about that.
Thanks.
Yes.
I feel pretty good about it.
No, it can be done. I've seen, man, I tell you, one of the guys, I don't know that we had him on, but I did meet him, I think, at PAX. It was called Never Ending Nightmares. And it was a game this guy was making, and he needed so much money in the last little bit of his campaign, but he made it and got it completed. So 4,000 that you need in 5 days, I think that is an easy thing to do. So
Nice. Well, thanks. Yeah, we've had a lot of really awesome support from people. Like, we have a good community here in Toronto, but it's just so cool to see, people backing from Europe and far away in the States. It's really awesome.
Well, now your Skype sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Like, do we keep going or what? Well,
I've been trying, so I'd be happy to.
Yeah, let's try and see if we can get some more information out of this from you. But what was the what brought about this idea?
Good question. So my main co-producer and I, in the beginning, we were interested mostly in documentary filmmaking. So we hadn't thought that much about, gaming in the beginning. And the more we worked together, we realized that this was kind of a common interest of ours. I'm working with a guy, by the way, and he is always gaming and always talking about it, with his friends and stuff. And I realized that it was something that I had always loved, but I never really thought to share that with people. And I never really found other girls who I felt like were into it. And I thought this was kind of a cool topic to explore. Like, how come women don't talk about it that much? How come, there's this sort of weird taboo around it? And so we had this idea for the documentary that, I'm someone who loves games, but I wouldn't consider myself an expert of any kind. And so I wanted to learn more about the gaming world through women's eyes. So I'm kind of the guinea pig in the documentary. I run around and I learn stuff from them, and I kind of act as the noob. But basically, the projects that some of these independent developers are working on are so cool. I just want to I want to share that with people, and of course I want to kind of break down some of the weird stereotypes that are out there about women in gaming.
Well, I'm looking at the Kickstarter, and it says, "We want to know, how does gaming really fit into women's lives socially and professionally? What challenges do these women face every day? What are they doing to change the way video games are made and perceived?" Let me ask you that first question. How does gaming fit into your life socially and professionally?
That's really funny, actually. It was, for me, it's been, mostly kind of solitary, which is why at the beginning of thinking about this doc, I thought, I wondered to myself, why haven't I shared this kind of passion with other people? Why haven't I talked about this with other people? And I think, now I play as much as I can, and I'm trying to dive into the world of online gaming. It doesn't really fit into my life professionally, except for the documentary, so I guess it does now. But I think it's tough, I think a lot of girls feel that pressure to prove their nerd cred. You know what I mean? Like, walk into a room full of people and they think, shit, well, if I can't name this and that, and if I don't really know what I'm talking about, no one will take me seriously. So,
you should listen to this show then. We do that all the time.
Yeah, it's, I've actually really enjoyed listening to your show. I feel like...
Oh, thanks.
Yay.
Yeah, no, I like that you talk about so many different aspects of the gaming world. Like, you're talking about specific games, but then also, all the politics behind them and the people behind them. That's what I really like. And with this project as well, I want to dive a bit into some specific games and developers, and have a mix of overview of a lot of women's stories, and then focus on a few.
Well, you talk about specific games and developers. What are those specific games and developers?
So far we've mostly been working with indie developers within the Toronto area. So we have some pretty good groups that have started to encourage more women to learn code and to get games out there. So, for instance, there's one girl that I talked to named Brittany Oberfeld. And I was really fascinated with the game she'd made, because she was an artist, first and foremost. and she had a friend who was able to hack an Xbox Connect, and they created this game where your body becomes a bird, and she had done the artwork for this bird, and you fly through a forest, so use your body to navigate this animal. I thought that was a pretty cool game just because it was different from any format that I had heard of before. Then there are other women I'd love to talk to, obviously, like Rihanna Pratchett, women who've worked on huge games. And that kind of depends, that's what the Kickstarter would help with is like greater outreach if we wanted to talk to bigger developers like that.
Yeah,
Well, she's a writer, but...
Yeah, no, that's fine. But she works in the gaming industry. She's it's pretty big in the gaming industry itself. So that's a pretty big deal. Your other question: what challenges do these women face every day? Have you faced? Is there any kind of challenges that you personally face every day? I know obviously this Kickstarter is a challenge, but
yeah, well, that's for sure.
Yeah, but on a personal level, as far as that's concerned, have you faced any, or have you started to face any now that you've kind of, dug your heels into this?
Definitely, I'd say, the gaming world is vast, right? It's like there's a second real world. So sometimes I'm just sitting at my computer with like a zillion tabs open, and I think, wow, like I don't know anything. Like, how can I even begin to scratch the surface of what's out there? So on the one hand, there's that challenge. On the other hand, it's kind of tough trying to make a documentary on behalf of women when women are all different kinds of people, right? Like, it's not just like there's one singular voice for all of them. So it's tricky, kind of navigating the different personalities and perspectives and trying to be fair to them. And then there's the usual like crazy comments that I get from people. That's to be expected. Like, you're a hoe bag and you're a poser, and like we've all heard about that, and that's definitely happened. But
a lot of name calling. You get a lot of name calling.
Not a lot. It's there, but generally a good response actually. Generally, people have been really really cool about it.
We did early on of this show, God, back in 2007 or 2008. I don't know when it was, but we did I came back from PAX, I believe it was. Ran into a lot of this was my first PAX, and I ran into a lot of female developers working on games. And I said, hey, we should do a game about, or a show about women in gaming. And we did, and that's been a long time since we did that show, so I can't remember too much about it. Yeah. But we did that. But it was I think the thing that came out of that was that a lot of people who when people talk about racism and sexism and that sort of thing in any kind of industry, one of the points that people make is that I don't see race. I don't see color, and I don't see sex and that sort of thing. I don't see a woman playing a game. I just see a gamer playing a game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is the way I like to look at it. And then when I hear the stories of the name calling or the discrimination and stuff like that, I'm also not a fan of the white knight type situation either.
Right, be like.
I know. I'm not. I'm not into that. I'm really not. I hate that it exists. Not the white knight situation. I just hate that discriminatory type situation exists. I hate that it's there. We all wish that it wasn't. I think it throws a bad light on to those of us who don't feel that way.
It totally does. And what's funny is that I've actually had overwhelming support from men for this Kickstarter.
Yeah, well, obviously, I didn't know the Kickstarter existed until tonight. Trust me, Kickstarter is like a Steam sale for me. If I really got into it, I'd be throwing $5 at almost everything that I wanted to get done, and I'd be broke in no time. But yeah, so this is the first time I've been made aware of your specific project.
I'm glad you found it somehow.
Yeah, well, no, and I'm glad we're all glad that you're listening to the show, and appreciate you calling in. But it's one of those things that, as much as women have to face it every day, and I will not say that it's worse from a guy sort of situation who doesn't feel that way. I don't want to equate that. It's far worse on your end to be called these names than it is on my end to be lumped into that group of people calling you those names. I just hate that happens. Like I said, it puts a bad light on gamers in general, especially male gamers, to think that, well, I'm a female and I want to play with these guys, but as I've read on the internet, I'm going to have to endure a bunch of crap from these guys, when you're not. I mean, you are. In specific situations, you may run into that, but coming from me personally and from the guys in this room and the guys on the show and a lot of the guys that we know who listen to the show and that sort of thing, you're not going to have that when you come into playing with us.
I think that's one of the things that's sort of one of my goals with the project, is to kind of break down where the fear lies with women hesitating to say I'm a gamer or hesitating to try online gaming, because you're right. I think there is a big barrier. It doesn't come from like having a negative experience in the past. It's from just sort of hearing these big stories that get blown out of proportion. So the more I interview women, most of them, as you said, have had really, really good experiences and have just been able to sort of push past the few, kind of crazy.
Yeah, and it's a shame you even have to push past those few. I keep saying few, but I think it's a lot more widespread than that, honestly. And seriously, if you were to lift the cover off of this thing, it's like an ant bed. All you see is that little dirt at the top, but when you really get down into it, there is a huge labyrinth of the colony, or whatever the case is. And I really feel that that's the kind of the way discriminatory things are with women, is that it's a tiny visible thing on the top, but when you really dig down into it, it's huge and it's all over the place.
It's why I really don't play online games, just open games really much anymore. I just got tired of. Or
you go into your friend's lobby and just play with the people you
mute
know.
everybody else except for the people that you enjoy talking to, because it got to be the point where if someone was talking over the mic, inevitably they would always turn into the lowest common denominator.
But as a gamer, I had to start somewhere.
Yeah,
I had to. I don't have the massive friends list that I have from just playing with my friends.
Yeah,
I had to venture out and make those friends and take those risks, and just, I say take those risks. There was really very little risk on my part being taken. If I didn't like somebody, I just muted them, and I rarely would get name called. As far as that's concerned, but I can't imagine what a woman who identifies themselves as a woman online has to go through.
I don't mind people giving me crap if I'm doing bad. Let that be the reason for it, whether it be guy, girl, race, whatever. Give someone crap because of their subpar performance, not because of who they are. Because your chops aren't right there. If it's like someone else, it doesn't matter who is on the other end of that joystick. If they're bogging your team down, then they deserve a little trash talking. But it shouldn't be just because of who they are.
Nabokov says in the chat room, the other thing, this is his words, the other thing I see a lot of and I hate is the female clans, the female versus male mentality of them. And you hear groups of ladies who say, no, I don't use voice chat and I don't play with anyone but my friends because of Xbox Live, when it's not like that everywhere.
So they have specific groups just exclusively for themselves, and then
I think that's what he's saying there. He just doesn't like the female versus male mentality of them, and the group of ladies who say that I don't use voice chat and I don't play with anyone but my friends because Xbox Live, and he's specifically saying Xbox Live because that's, I think, where
it's
a lot of that
notorious,
right. I think that's where a lot of that whole situation comes from. Is that situation? And I'll get a lot of people who locally who'll say, "Hey, I got my kid, and I'm going to put them." They want to get on this Xbox Live thing, but I'm not sure about it. And it's like, well, how old's your kid? And then they'll say how old their kid is, and I'll say, well, sure, put them on there, but you've got power as to who they play with or who they talk to or how that whole thing stands out. Don't be lazy about it. Be a parent, basically. Do your job as a parent, and monitor your kids' actions and have that control. Make sure you have that control. If you don't feel like you have that control, then you need to limit them. If you feel like for whatever reason you don't have the control of who they're talking to and what they're playing, then you need to figure out how to get that control or get away from it altogether if you can't. But still, I think as far as the younger children are concerned, that falls on the parent. But as far as the older children and more specific the older female gamer type situation, is that the inevitable fact is that you're going to run into it, and it's a horrible, sad fact, and I wish you didn't have to. But the inevitable fact is that you're going to run into that sort of situation, and I don't want to say get over it. You shouldn't have to, but don't. And again, my mind can't fathom the horrible things that are probably being said to a woman in a game. I seriously can't. You could tell. You probably could give me some examples that I would.
Them up somewhere.
Yeah, you could probably give me some examples that I would have to hit our dump button on because I couldn't put them out over the radio.
Yeah.
For sure. Because there's some really horrible things that I'm sure are being said, and I can't look at someone and say that, hey, you're just going to have to not take that stuff personally. What I can say is that stuff's probably not going to go away as much as I really want it to. It's probably never going to go away, and I can't really give you any kind of advice as to how to deal with it other than block it out and find somebody else to play with. Just if you get it and you don't like it and it's bothering you, then mute the player and move on and get away from them. Report the player. Do this. That's a good thing. Report. If you're getting that kind of talk, report the player, and then mute it if it's that bad, and find another group to play with. I don't know. It's a tough thing to try and give advice to. I don't know. What is your advice for situations like that?
Wow. I mean, I don't really. I've also been asked this so many times, and I kind of have a similar perspective, which is just it's hard to know when you're, so many of the women I talk to, they're like, if you give a reaction, that's just what they're looking for. And then on the other hand, you feel trapped, right? Like, oh, I have to say something. I shouldn't just stay silent. So because I've been thinking about this, when I've been, focusing on how to construct the documentary, we're definitely going to sort of focus on this issue, but the focus is a little bit more on. Right.
That was gonna be my next thought. Was that I'm sorry we diverted the conversation into this discriminatory thing, because I don't think that's.
No, not at all.
Because I don't. But that's not what. That's not the main point of your Kickstarter.
There are other, really, if people are interested in that topic, there's another Kickstarter doc that was funded maybe a year or so ago called GTFO, which sort of perfectly covers that topic. It specifically focuses on that. And this one, we're sort of hoping just to really show how awesome some of the women are who are out there working on stuff. And I think, as you said, maybe that sort of discrimination won't go away, but we've actually interviewed a couple younger girls for the project, and it was interesting to see their perspective. There's one girl, she was and she's 12, so probably grade 7 or so, and her attitude was just so totally obsessive about gaming and totally matter of fact. And my questions are it's built on 15 years of thinking about gaming and social, all these social problems and so on. But that just kind of wasn't part of the way that she saw them, she didn't really think, okay, this is something for guys or for girls. Granted, she's the daughter of a guy who runs a game shop here, so she's sort of in that world all the time. But she didn't seem the least bit shy about it or embarrassed or. Yeah, she seemed to love it in such a normal way, if that made any sense. And I was like, okay, well, that's that's a sign of hope, I guess.
Yeah, well, but it's one thing to be kind of raised around it.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah,
than-
that's true.
Yeah,
That's
than to
true.
someone who's just kind of getting into it. Go ahead, Matt.
And for me, it's interesting that I would think that as a medium, there's this whole the fact that we have this issue of girl gamers, where you don't really hear things about like movies. Do girls watch movies?
Yeah.
So why would this one medium be singled out? You don't hear about
Here's about
girl
that, yeah.
music listeners, or
Because this one medium is a very male-dominated
Yeah.
medium, and I would say that I know that there's probably a lot who look at the film industry and say that's a very male-dominated medium.
Yeah.
However, the audience of that
Right.
medium is completely male, female, that sort of thing. But if you look at the consumer base, the audience base of this medium, video games, it is also very male. It's male dominated on the inside, and it's very male dominated on the outside. And so that's an unfortunate wall for women in that case. However, again, I go back to all of us here we don't see them as male or female. We just see them as the gamer, game developer, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Now, if you do want to break it down, we can look at it that way, because obviously I talk a lot with Amy Hennig, and so
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of hers, and in that time I've become a pretty good friend of hers in talking to her. But again, I don't look at her. When the statistic is brought up, I do. You have to. She has to be incorporated into the women in gaming type, chart or statistic or whatever you're going to do to classify that. But seriously, I just look at her as like, oh man, she writes really great stories that I really have enjoyed, and it doesn't matter that she's a man or a woman or whatever the case is. It doesn't matter. Her gender doesn't matter.
not at all. Just
Yeah, I
her storytelling.
Right. It doesn't matter to us. Seriously, we don't look at it that way.
One of the things I've always respected about video games is that it doesn't matter what your gender, what your race, what your age is. It's just in terms of skill and how well you play. It doesn't matter. Like I've told you about my friend Lauren May, who plays fighting games along with us.
Yeah.
And our group of folks are all over. Now, I can't tell you the amount of times I've seen random guy playing and see her playing and thinks that this match is going to be simple, this is going to be easy, strictly because she's female. Now, when that happens,
Which is a benefit for her, because I'm sure it lets his guard down.
what happens is when we see this happen, everybody gathers round. Everybody in the store comes to see her play. Everybody gathers round, gathers in a circle, sits and observes, because we're about to see some real funny happen.
Yeah.
He's about to get that rude awakening that being female doesn't matter. She just has more skill than
Like,
you.
oh my gosh, she's got game.
Exactly.
That's right.
You're about to get that rude awakening, and everybody witnesses you see it. Now you see that person sweat, flinch, mess up, misinterpret combos. I couldn't recognize this. Like, this isn't supposed to happen. Oh, yeah, it's supposed to happen. She's got more skill than you. She knows how to play
Yeah.
it, just like you did.
Matt's pretty proud of himself for that pun. So
So yeah.
I really appreciate you calling in, and I really appreciate what your Kickstarter is doing. And I'm sorry we diverted the conversation more to the discriminatory things. And I know that's
No, not at all.
I know that's
No,
one
that's-
aspect of what you would cover in the documentary, but I know that the main aspect is let's just showcase these women in gaming.
I have a quick question.
Oh, go ahead.
Do you have a favorite game?
I do. My favorite game is pretty retro, and that is Ocarina of Time.
Oh, okay.
So a Zelda fan.
Not
I'm
Link to the
a
Past?
huge Zelda fan. Yeah.
What is the last game that you played?
The last game that I played is actually it was an indie game called Knit Underground.
Oh, yeah,
And
okay, yeah.
for the Wii U, yeah. Somebody had told me that the artwork was super beautiful and that the music was really chill. So kind of, yeah, just a group of us hung out and played that. That's the last.
Well, there's a few female developers that I know of that I've got your email address, and I'll shoot you an email to highlight them and
Awesome.
maybe highlight them. I think there's a girl named Megan Fox who is doing a game called I think it's called Hot Tin Roof is the name of the title. It's a noir game about a cat detective. She's an indie developer, and she was showcased at the indie mega booth, I believe, at PAX.
Nice.
That's one. There is the woman who did, I think, from Barking Mouse Studios. We had them on to talk about their game called Lost Toys.
No, very cool.
So would love to get you in touch with her and Amy Hennig. I could, throw your name out there. There's a girl that we
That'll be
know.
amazing.
Yeah, there's a girl that used to live here in the area who now works on games. Elizabeth Sampit, I believe, is her name.
Okay.
And she used to live here in town. She was working at the local GameStop here in the mall, and now she lives out in California now and makes games. And I still talk to her on Twitter, but yeah, would love to put you in touch with some of those people if you're able to do the interviews and that sort of thing. But yeah,
Definitely. Yeah, I would love that. That would be great.
That's
Oh,
great.
thanks.
But we appreciate you calling in, and again, it's called She Got Game, and they only need another. Let me refresh the page and see if anything's happened since we started talking.
Yeah.
I doubt it, but yeah. No, she's still got $4,000 to go to get to their goal. They've got 5 days to do it to make this documentary. So thanks again for calling in, and thanks for listening. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And just to put it out there, I mean, we love to hear from, get feedback from everyone or just get people's comments. So yeah, just feel free to email us as well if you guys want to.
If the project gets funded, about what is your expected release of the documentary?
We set the date a little later actually than it'll probably come out. So on the Kickstarter it says about June 2015 to be safe, but could always come out earlier.
When you get funded and start doing the development of the thing, will you give us a call back in a few months and give us a progress report?
Yeah, I'd love to. Perfect.
That would be great.
Definitely.
Well, Cailleah, thank you so much. Again, She Got Game is the project name. Head over to Kickstarter and you can find out all the details and watch the little promo video for it as well. But thanks so much for calling in.
Thank you. All right. Well, I'll talk to you later.
And have a great night. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have the final segment here of In-Game Chat. Here is music from Saints Row the Third. And welcome back to In-Game Chats. Music from Planescape Torment there for you as we go into our final segment of the show. If you'd like to be a part of the final segment of the show, you want to be on the show with us, give us a call, 334-272-9228. That is 334-272-9228. Going over to our emails. We haven't done emails in a long time. We got an email from Daniel Phelps. He wrote in saying, this one's mostly for Matt. Part 2 of Broken Sword 5 is out now. I'm looking forward to sitting down with it and poring over it. It looks like everything I loved about Broken Sword 1 and 2, but I reserve judgment until I've actually spent real time with it. I played Broken Sword 3, didn't like it much. It changed from 2D point-and-click to 3D analog contextual, and as a result, I never played Broken Sword 4. Though, as I understand it, both 3 and 4 were well-received. Nonetheless, the nostalgia gland will be pulsing. I absolutely loved the first Broken Sword, probably my favorite classic adventure game of all time. As much as I'm starting to favor Telltale stuff, I played Shadow of the Templars on PS1 in like 97, and every time I go back to it, it feels every bit as epic as it did the first time. Here's hoping for Serpent's Curse. I have faith in George. Also, I watched the credits to see if I'd recognize any of the Territory voice cast. It includes a list of all Kickstarter backers, and the credits ran for like 45 minutes as a result. Holy Jesus. I did see Matt's name, though.
Yep.
So...
I'm in the same boat with him. I love 1 and 2. I played 3, but as he said, when it went from the 2D point-and-click to the 3D with the controllers really weren't as spot on as I would have liked. I never played 4, and I got 5. But I'm a huge George and Nico fan from back in the day. It's a wonderful game. The Shadow of the Templars is one of my favorite adventure games. That's like non-LucasArts kind of a thing, because I always have a special place in my heart for LucasArts games. But as far as like storytelling, I mean, Shadow of the Templars, a fantastic game. The second one, The Smoking Mirror, was a wonderful game. Like I said, never finished the third, but I actually have all 5, and I started actually going back through, and I got the director's cut of 1 and 2, and I beat those already. I'm going to start up on 3 and play that in 4 and 5. So,
yeah, he was just curious, asking if you had played that, and that was pretty much the only question I had for you.
Yeah, it's on my list. It's definitely one that I'm going to play.
How are you going to play? Are you going to have...
I'm taking my laptop with me.
Right.
And I have...
But like downtime, do you have a lot? Do you know? Is this a...
I'll be working roughly like about 6 days a week. 12-hour days, so I'll have a day off. I'm going to be, hitting the gym a lot actually, so I'm going to be a gym rat. But I will have some downtime to go through and play some games. But yeah, that's definitely on my list. I'm a big fan of this, the Broken Sword series.
Yeah. I guess the only thing I'm looking forward to right now, obviously, is the Arkham Origins DLC, which hits on Tuesday.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have something new to go back into in there. Hopefully, maybe some more challenge rooms that they'll throw in as far as the fighting mechanic and stuff. But I'm really looking forward to that. I don't have anything. I went to GameFly to put, Watch Dogs.
Yeah. What
the situation?
How about you? Are you kind of like on the fence about it?
Me and James talked about this, and I'm sure we'll talk about it again when he's on the show. But we go back to Infamous. We were talking about this feeling of urgency to play these games when they release, so that we can talk about them on the show. And
Plus, it's good to actually have something that we spent so much money on a system, have something to play on it.
Well, there's that, but we were just going through it, and we're thinking, is it really necessary for us to do this to ourselves? If we had really come to this, I don't know, lethargic place, whatever it is, if we'd really come to this prior to Second Son being released, I don't necessarily know that we would have jumped on it so much.
Yeah.
I was hesitant. I mean, I that day you called us.
Yeah.
That was the week of release. I mean, the game released on a Friday, and you called us on a Tuesday, saying that you'd found it, and we were going to have it early, and I thought that would be great. We'd get some time in to talk about it. But I didn't purchase the game until I think Wednesday. I think I put in the order for it. And I have Amazon Prime, so I was going to get the day release type situation. And I did, and it came to the station here, and I got it. But, looking back on that, back on the time that I spent with it, it would have worked so much better as a rental.
Yeah.
For me on that situation. Now I look at Watch Dogs, and James was looking closer to Dark Souls 2 and his desire of do I really want to get back into this? He's had time to read reviews of people who have played the PS3 version.
Mm-hmm.
Not looking at things like graphics and the beauty of the game, but looking at how well the game played, the storyline, and everything else. he's had a nice buffer there to kind of make an assessment on whether he wants to dive into that or not. Does he really want to dive into it right now? I don't know. I mean, he'd be better to tell you on that, but I don't think he does. Given the amount of time that he'd have to spend with it and everything else, I think he could look at it as, you know what, I'll get that on a Steam sale later and not have to pay as much, that sort of thing. He also looks at Thief, a game that he hasn't finished yet, that he paid full price for.
Same here.
The game I didn't pay full price for. I found it for...
With the Green Man?
No, I got it off a seller off of NeoGAF.
Okay.
He was selling a copy for I think it came out to $16.
Oh, wow.
Because he wanted some TF2 items. And so I just went to the marketplace, bought the TF2 items that he wanted, we did the trade. And I think for he wanted a specific number, he didn't want a specific price. He's like, I need 7 of these. So I went and bought 7 of those off the marketplace.
And that's how much it came out to?
And it came out to around $16, $17. And I was like, okay, here's fair trade. So I got the copy of the game. But here he is sitting on paying full price for this game that he still hasn't finished. Here he is sitting on paying full price for Infamous Second Son that he has finished, but didn't really feel like it gave him the value.
No.
It was so quick to play through.
Yeah,
it's very pretty.
So
very pretty. Very pretty game. I will not take that away from it.
No.
But also just not a very good game. And then here's Dark Souls 2 coming up for him to spend that money on. And he's just not really feeling that it might be worth it to do that. Now, we look ahead to Watch Dogs, and we kind of get this sense of, yeah, I do want to spend the money on this. We've talked about it so much, and there's just been a lot said about this game. From the time that it was unveiled at E3, to the time that they showed off more at E3, to everything that has come about, to the cancellation of it, or whatever, the delay. Not really the cancellation, but the delay of the game. That this is one of the games that we kind of have to see for ourselves, really. It's one of those, the proof is in the pudding type situation. And we have to see for ourselves just exactly how bad this looks, or how good this looks, or how our fears aren't warranted, or whatever the case may be. It's something we have to see to believe. So we kind of will be there on day one, but we just don't know where we're going to be as far as PC or PS4 or Xbox. Well, in my case,
Xbox.
any one of the 3 systems that we can play it on. I really want it on PC.
Mm-hmm.
I want the beauty of it.
Yeah.
I want it to look good.
I don't know if my PC could run it.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the Uber stats, I don't think my PC can run it, but it can run it good enough that it'll look better than probably what it does on the console, on the home consoles. But I've got GameFly there to do that with. Redbox needs to get their act together. But I've got GameFly to do that. I put Watch Dogs for Xbox One and PS4 into my GameFly queue. I've been looking for deals online for Watch Dogs for PC. That's really where I want to play it. And I know myself. I know that if I don't play it on PC, I know it'll be on sale, on a Steam sale or something like that down the line, and I'll probably pick it up. But just like all the 500, 600, 700 games in my library, a fraction of those I've ever actually played. I've picked them up on Steam sales, and it'll kind of be the same thing with Watch Dogs. And even if I do install it, if I've already played it on the console, I will only install it just to see how pretty it looks, and I probably won't play much of it. There's also the online multiplayer component of Watch Dogs that is there. So I don't know. Does it look like Watch Dogs has any replay value? Like if you does it look? I mean, multiplayer, is that all? I don't know. I don't think it does
because I
don't think it has any. I don't think it'll have any replay value outside of the main story. Yeah. I don't know that it'll have replay value in the multiplayer. The multiplayer's kind of fuzzy. But if I compare that to Second Son, a story that went by fast, just insanely quick.
Yeah, but you got the hero and the evil side to go on through that.
It still goes by very fast.
Goes by too fast. Like you were saying earlier about regretting.
Plus, let me go into it. Once you've done either side,
right,
you kind of know what the other side's going to do.
So there's even less less reason to go through it because you already know what's coming.
If a character dies on the evil side because I had to make that choice,
Right.
I know my choice is going to be on the good side. Character's going to live.
Right.
I know that. I know how that's gonna play out. The way they gave us the powers and the way that we had to go through all these different things, even on the evil side of things, I didn't like it. I didn't like how that was done. As far as basically the final power, that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I didn't like having to go through the multiple boss fights. As far as the final, you fight the final boss in one section of the of the world, and then you fight the final boss again a couple missions later. And it's really strange. You're limited to one power when you fight that person. They don't let you switch back to your other power. You have to fight her with her own power. And I don't know. Like I said, you do the evil side, you kind of know what the good side's going to be. You can go back to it, but it's very quick. It's very fast. Game looks good. It really does. But replay value is there, but for 2 times, that's it. The replay value for Watch Dogs, I don't know that it's going to be there, but if Watch Dogs is like Assassin's Creed 4 was, I really felt I got my money's worth. Just for the fact that there was so much to do, and I did as much as I could. Clearing out the islands and that sort of thing.
AC4 had the added benefit of just sailing around. Just really doing nothing but sailing around, taking on ships, being a pirate.
I did that for a little bit. And then it was like, I need to get down to, but for the most part, my time in AC4 was clearing out the islands. I had this...
need to get all the fragments, need to find all the treasures.
Yeah, I had this obsessive-compulsive disorder of being on any island that I landed on, I had to clear that island out. I need to make sure it was gold on my map.
Yeah.
So, which meant it was clear. I had that... that was my feeling for that.
Well, I think that game really gave you a good feeling when you were a completionist. It gave you that kind of, I've had other games like the first AC where I really wasn't a completionist on that. I didn't find all the flags. I did the missions, stuff like that. But this is, I think, really one of the first times where I set out to beat every single island, clear them all out. And everything, where I really hadn't in the previous Assassin's Creed.
I hadn't either, and I did that with this one. I don't know if it was the timing that was right or whatever the case may be, or that they made it
was
enjoyable.
just
I wanted to say you were just having fun with it because you did this
right.
with Crackdown. You wanted to find every...
I know, I did the same thing.
Yeah, you did the same thing there. You had fun with it.
I don't like leaving the loose ends type situations. I really don't. I know that when I finish a game, if I haven't, I'm never going to go back to it. So with Crackdown and with AC4 and a couple of others... Batman was another one that I did it with just recently.
So the Riddler trophies or something?
The challenge rooms?
The
challenge rooms, okay.
Not the challenge rooms, but the Riddler trophies.
Okay,
Riddler trophies, yeah.
I did it with Arkham Origins. I made sure that everything on this island that was available to me right now was cleared through, and then I would move to the next district of Gotham, and everything that was in there, I would make sure that I cleared it out, and I would just move progressively through that.
I never actually got into the Riddler's room. Because he's all like, hold off, and I guess I didn't finish enough Riddler trophies to be able to actually get to see him.
You do have to finish all of his Riddler trophies to get in there. You can get into the main part of his hideout.
Yeah, but
you can't progress.
You can't hack the thing because it's jammed.
You can't progress until you've finished clearing out all of the Riddler trophies. The Riddler, I will say this, after finishing up the Riddler trophies in City and Origins, Cities were a lot more difficult than Origins were.
Oh yeah, especially some of the flying ones where you had to, time it just right. You
could only step on the pressure pads, and if you stepped anywhere else, it would reset the puzzle. You had to make sure that every time you touched the ground, it was on a pressure pad. You couldn't touch anything else. So yeah, there was some difficulty there, but I went through it, and that's my thing. If I get through a game and I don't finish that, there's very little desire for me to go through and finish it. It's a weird thing, but it's just one of my little quirks. But I think Watch Dogs will provide me with that. What I'm saying right there is a lot of game time. Maybe not a lot of replayability, but it'll provide me a lot of game time. I don't know this.
Okay, we're hoping for it.
I know. I'm hoping for it. It's Ubisoft. They're very good at doing, at giving you a lot to do in a big open world. So I'm hopeful in that, but I don't know that.
And then typically with the what you play, they reward you also with like those little 4 items that you could
Yeah, I mean sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not
yeah.
worth it, but I can usually get something out of that, and Uplay will be a part of Watch Dogs. So anyway, I put those into my GameFly queue. Going back to all this, I put those into GameFly queue. I put MLB The Show for PS4 in my GameFly queue.
Okay. How come?
Just because I've seen pictures of it, and it looks great, but it's a baseball game. Whatever.
Are you going off of the 3D experience you had with 13 off your?
That was really
off your
cool.
TV?
That was really cool.
It was.
But I don't know that that's in. I don't know that that's in the PS4 version. It probably is, but I don't know. So I put that in there. I did the same thing. Like I said, whenever they added the 3D, I did the same thing. This will just be one of those things where it's like, I don't have much to do right now. Let me put this in. Oh, it looks great. Oh, I can't play it worth a flip. Let me send it back. That's all they'll get out of it. I swear that's all I'll get. But and I also put in Amazing Spider-Man 2 into my. I initially put that in.
Did you play the first one?
Yeah, I played it and beat it.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing as I did last time. I collected all the things that you could collect, and didn't get much out of it, but I still did it. It just annoyed me that it was still there, and so I had to go do it. So I put that in there for PS4. I did not put it in for Xbox One. I was going to, just to make sure that I had a good chance of getting
either one,
the game regardless for either console. But I'm glad I didn't, because they
There's a
delayed.
hitch, yeah.
They delayed the one. They delayed indefinitely the one for the Xbox One version. Do not know why. There's a lot of speculation, but we don't know why. So, anyway, I think that's going to wrap it up. Let me go to the chat room here, and just say bye to everybody who's in the chat room. But anyway, thanks everybody for joining us in the chat room, as well as everyone listening on the stream or even on the radio. We want to thank everybody who grabs us each week from iTunes or however you get our show. We really do appreciate it. You can head over to ingamechat.net, and you can join us on Twitter, also on Facebook, our forums at colonyofgamers.com. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you're on Steam, we've got a Steam group you can join up with over there and play games with us and other listeners. Don't forget to, join us next Saturday. We appreciate it. And, yes, if you've got any questions for Rand Miller from Cyan, send them to us, everyone, at ingamechat.net. I'll have that interview on Thursday, and we will play that back on Saturday. So would love to get your questions for him. That'll do it for us. Thanks again. Have a great weekend. We will see you next week. Bye, Matt.
Bye.
Here's music from Halo Spartan Assault. This is Finishing the Fight. This is not Marty O'Donnell.